It's because it's the food industry. They're manipulating us to eat their product. It's the way they advertise, the marketing is done because they are spending billions and trillions of dollars into marketing, right? Even though these days, when you're looking at certain products and it says that, this much less sugar or zero sugar, there is always hidden sugar in it.
Welcome to the Oxford Talks podcast. How are you doing today?
I'm doing absolutely great this morning. How are you?
Not too bad, not too bad. For those of us who haven't seen the Oxford Talk or just completely don't know who are you? What do you do? And what's your relationship with food?
What's my relationship with food? That's a very interesting question because food was just very normal to me in the past. Just like anybody would get up in the morning, eat whatever you like, and have lunch or have snacks any time of the day and night, whatever you feel like, have those snacks at night during movies. So it was very normal, like a lot of us actually enjoy food. But I would say from the time I cracked the code that what it actually means for us and how food is important to our health, that's when I guess life completely changed for me. So if I can start, what I do right now is I help individuals discover food freedom so they can reconnect with food, with their mind and with their body, and also unlock their full potential. And it wasn't like that for me with wellness all the time because I have been in IT industry in the corporate world for 20 years. And the life of 20 years, I mean, those corporate
What were
world.
you doing in the IT industry?
So I specialized in designing enterprise solutions with cloud infrastructure, and so Cisco specialist. And my part was talking to the C-level, the CEOs and so on, the management, to make sure that to design their infrastructure from old traditional hardware and making them more advanced level and for the
Like
future.
networking, or was it like
It was more
security?
towards a unified communication. So you're talking about voice and videos and all those, but based on cloud-based
Okay, like
infrastructure,
Cisco's,
right?
yeah.
So the networking part, I used to get as much as the closest I used to get was I used to have my team and I used to bring them because now you're talking about routing and switching and behind the scenes what's going to go on. I enjoyed more in person talking to them to see how we can change the entire infrastructure at that point. So I worked with a lot of hospitals and museums and airports and police headquarters, Supreme Courts,
And how
museums.
was that life like?
Amazing. I loved it. I used to like.
Company expense everything.
Oh yes, I mean it was an amazing lifestyle I had. I mean lifestyle by that I mean like the corporate lifestyle, right? When I was a kid, I used to imagine myself, looking at those Apple computers back in the those, the boxes and
The
so on,
colored ones,
the
yeah.
colored ones and everything. So I used to grow up that way seeing, and I thought that, what, I'm going to be a programmer. And this dream has started about calling myself a programmer. So when I used to live the first 10 years of my life in the Middle East, in Kuwait, to be exact. But when we moved from there with my parents, and I was the only child at that time, and we moved way before Gulf War
Okay.
to Toronto, Canada.
When was this happening? When was the
This
Gulf?
is about mid-80s.
Mid-80s, okay.
Yeah,
So you moved just before the Gulf War then?
just a couple of years before the Gulf War.
Okay. And how
Right.
was life there then?
It's my childhood. I love it. I still
Yeah.
do. I don't know if I would go back because the life has changed so much, and I'm so
Mm.
much living in the on this side of the world, the Western side. But at that time, at that age, life was heaven. You're a child at that time. All you're doing is going to school and meeting friends, not worried about any responsibilities, nothing. Parents were there. It was a very smooth lifestyle, as
Mm.
far as I remember, right? And the friends were, at that time, there was nothing like, what's your background?
Mm.
What's your caste? What religion are you? There were never any questions like that. You're just my friend.
You're talking about literally friends at school, and I suppose,
Friends
yeah.
at school, and all that I have was friends at school. So I used to look forward to going to school because it was a fun place to be. Of course, those days you didn't think about learning too much or getting your grades, high or something. Also, there was competitions all the time between your friends also at the same time to making sure that you're getting good grades. And which I did. I had to do it. Parents were very strict at that time. I was the only child, so all the focus was on me. But at the same time, I built many good friends, and starting from my grade three, I should say, that those friends are still in my life, even today.
It's amazing.
I reconnected with them a few years back, and it's amazing to have that friendship because you sometimes feel they are very close to you, sometimes even more than your families because they don't judge you. Today we live in a world that uh, they're judging you all the time. What you do, where you stand today. What did you tell me? They're very careful, and it's very easy to judge, very easy to not even trust you. But there is nothing like that. And I met recently some of those friends a couple of months ago, and it was just like where we started. We were like kids talking about the lifestyle. So it's amazing how that part of the life, the childhood, is very close to me. I get very emotional sometimes thinking as if it was just yesterday.
Mm.
So moving from that life and coming to the Western world was a big transition for me.
I want to ask because the roughly the theme of your work recently has been wellness and food, and I want to take you back to again that time and be like, how exactly was the journey of foods across different cultures? Because I think it's I know where you are today, and I know the journey behind. But I think for the listeners and for the viewers, how was the journey you with a kid as just eat anything? How were your parents like your mom parents cooking for you, or you just going out with friends all the time? And because those things are burgers and all of these things we will, and I think we get hooked to them when we were just little kids. So it's very hard to get away from those addictions as we sort of go on later in life. But I want to ask you, like, how were you as a kid, especially in terms of your eating and all of those things?
When it came to food and eating, there was no control.
Oh yeah.
And there was no control. And because I was the only child, parents did not really stop me from eating anything. Um, I used to eat most of the time homemade food. So mom used to cook. I used to enjoy that. And she used to pack, you know, I guess we had, back in those days, the school was like 5 hours. So it
Okay.
used to start at 8 in the morning to 1 o'clock. So we used to get one recess time, which is like 20 minutes. And in that 20 minutes, she used to pack more you could call lunch, but it's not really lunch, it's like late breakfast. So a
Yeah.
sandwich or something like that. But a lot of the time, what I used to do is I used to take that sandwich and give it to somebody else so I can eat somebody else's food, which was
You
more yummy to
exchange
me,
it.
right?
You
Right?
exchange it.
Exchange it, or sometimes I used to tell them, hey, do you want this hot dog or something like that? And they go, yes, 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 it's homemade. Mom made it. They used to enjoy it. And I used to sell it to them, okay, you need to give me, you know, a,
Was it like a marketplace? Like
it
let's
was. I
open
used
all
to,
of us.
it,
Let's see who got what.
it was pretty much like within 3 or 4 friends, because some of us, we used to exchange food like that just to
Yeah.
taste the other food, because maybe your parents are not buying that particular food for you,
Oh
or
yeah.
maybe it's not cooking, maybe the culture is different. So a lot of the time, either I used to get somebody else's food or I would just sell it, saying that, okay, you need to give me. And in Kuwait, like cents or so, they used to call it fils.
What was that? Sorry.
Fils.
Filth.
Yeah,
What?
FILS. It's like in pennies or
Oh,
cents,
okay. The
like we call
currency. Yeah,
over
yeah,
here.
yeah.
Yeah, pence. So I used to ask them that, okay, it's called 100 fils. It's like, 10p or something like that,
Oh
right?
yeah.
And with that, I used to get a juice. I used to call, I believe, Sunkiss, which was purely
I think I
sugary
might have.
orange
It's like the
juice.
silver packaging it has, or if I remember.
It was orange and white, right?
Ah, it might be
And
different one. I have a different
I
thing in my
found
head.
out a couple of years ago during my travel to Dubai and Singapore that they still carry that. The packaging changed, but they still have it. So I used to buy that and a bag of chips. And the
Oh,
bag of chips was called. There's a particular one I used to try. I remember it was called Funny Faces. It was just chips with funny faces on it, right? So kids used to
was like
use that,
crispy or
crispy and
salty?
everything. Parents wouldn't give me that, right? They
Yeah.
wouldn't pack that for my, I guess, late breakfast. But That's how I used to exchange food.
Yeah.
And at home, it's not that there were any restrictions, there's no restrictions at all, but Coke was just one major weak spot for me, right? And the holidays,
Coca Cola, guys. This is
Coca
this.
Cola,
This
hey,
is your
they may
former.
say it does your body, refreshing, but there's so many other things about it.
We need those sponsorship though.
So there was two things I used to try back then was Coke and 7-Up,
Yeah.
right? And the way it used to work, the Coke and 7-Up, it was provided by the government and it was absolutely free. So the people,
Wait. What?
yes,
What does that mean? Like you can just buy absolutely for free?
yes. So used to have, I guess they used to call back then ration card or something. So every month you would get the drinks like Coke or something. The government has that facility that they will provide them at your home. As far as I remember, it was free. I don't recall ever paying,
Oh, we
right?
definitely need to double check.
So there
Coke
used to
being
be,
delivered to your
yeah,
house for
yeah, there used
free.
to be a truck coming in, and they used to deliver like a crate of 24, and you used to get two, one for Coke, one for 7-Up, and they used to pick up the empty bottles, and they used to provide
Or
you,
like a milk service,
yeah.
like.
So it was absolutely free. So those days, I guess in the Middle East side, the weekends are usually Thursdays and Fridays. So Thursday used to be my half day at school.
Wow.
So instead of coming at 1 o'clock in the afternoon, I used to come by 11:30. And I used to look forward to that day because Thursday, there is no stopping. Parents wouldn't stop. I used to have candies, chocolate bars, Cokes, and I used to stay up a bit late. They used to let me stay Thursday night late. And that was like a heavenly moment for me.
And like the bottles were two
Oh,
liters,
I
one
used to
liters.
pretend like I'm having Johnny Walker or something like that.
Oh
That
wow.
used to be like me. I used to pretend at that time, this is my bottle, this is my drink.
But that's what I'm getting at. It's like if they were doing that, we need to double check if it was absolutely for free, or maybe secretly your parents got free vouchers
Maybe
from.
I've never seen them pay unless, as far as I recall, unless dad has something in the background that used to pay
Yeah.
monthly basis. But I never seen those people coming and asking for money.
And so, how did I guess when that happened with you as such a it, what do you call it in your sort of world that of health and wellness, like an early? Is it still called an addiction? Like you feed at an early age, and it just becomes a taste bud that you just always crave all the time in your life. I guess in future as well.
Absolutely. Addiction, some of the addictions actually that as grown-ups we have, it's always, or I should say a lot of the time, has been something related to childhood,
Hmm.
right? Something that you enjoyed eating or drinking when you were a kid. And as growing up, that habit continued. So, hence the reason a lot of the time these days, as grown ups, when we have a bad day, we usually run to something sugary,
Hmm.
right? To treat ourselves, to make us feel that, okay, I had a bad day, but this is going to make me feel better. So we often run to ice cream or cookies, whatever that item is that you're very close and attached to, which is very emotional for you. At the same time, when you are pleasantly having an amazing day at work or, just in general, you're in a very happy mood. And then again, you lead yourself to one of those food items that's been very close to you since growing up. And that could be pizza or burgers or ice cream, even, right? Uh, these are the pattern we need to see in order to understand that is that really some amazing feeling I'm having because of the day I had, whether it's a happy or a stressful day, or is this something I'm picking up from childhood?
Hmm.
And once you learn the pattern, you can understand that where the problem is, right? Because you understand that it's not really making you feel happy or comforting you. It's the habit.
I wanna establish a relationship here that an IT guy who has been working in Cisco, how come he managed to talk about these things? Like I if I would have, let's say, met you and 10 years ago, we were talking about how networking is done and how Cisco is a great company, da 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 da. But why that shit? What really happened in your life?
Absolutely. If we did meet 10 years ago, you would have a table full of burgers and pizzas and Coke also at the same time.
Pour, pour that my snack bar.
you know, and I've lived that lifestyle, right?
Yeah.
I've lived that. Uh, I mean, today I would call it unhealthy lifestyle, but back then that was that was the norm. That was enjoying and having a good conversation even during your networking life. And going back to that time, like I said, 20 years in that industry, uh, I've lived most people that they live that corporate world. Vending machines is all with sugary food, chips or crisps, you call it, drinks, chocolate, candies. So that's all you get during your break, right?
And do you think it's because of, I mean, sorry to break your train of thought there. I for a second in the past I decided maybe I should start some vending machines. It was just a wild idea, and we were just talking to people in supermarkets and like the train station, all of these things, and they're saying that Coke and Pepsis and all of those things, snack bars, the small packets, they have the biggest profit margin.
Oh, of course.
And I was like, oh wow, there is a bit of an element of a systemic thing that it you want to put like a banana in the profit margin might be, I don't know, 20p, and you have to take it out after the 12 hours or whatever. You put a can of Coke there, you buy it in bulk, and because it's really really mass produced, Coke is making money, Pepsi is making money, the distributors are making money, and then even then to you, I mean, you can buy even today a Coke for like 90p, a
Hmm.
pound, 130, which yeah, it's just bonkers. Like coffees are touching £6,
Yep.
and Coke and those things are like it still has caffeine, so I would just think, oh yeah, caffeine, I'll just drink it.
And why
It's
do you drink it?
I think I think you said it right. I think personally, mine was like it's a bit of an on and off. I think my parents weren't allowing us to drink this at all. And if you speak to my mom, she would be like absolutely furious every time she would see me doing any of that. And then I think it take when make me went away, not sort of drink them at all. And recently, when I was in Japan, I started drinking them again, and now it's I think it's back on a little bit. But I've tried to, even in the fridge in the office, we I have like those very little. Nadia's seen them, the very little pods, the 130 mls. But you're very right. I think there's an element of like some comfort that comes into the moment you drink them. But I personally would say I think maybe because my parents were always scolding that it's always a bit of a regret 5 minutes afterwards. Oh damn it! Could have like a micro regret. Could have done something else. It is hard. It's very hard to get away from that addiction, I suppose. But you were saying that it's just readily available. How did that journey happen? Like you being these things readily available, you got the addiction, and then what did happen that okay, you decide, you know what, this is not for me anymore. I'm gonna switch. What did happen there?
Well, a lot of the time, your stories come from pain. And as much as these food was on my to go list that that used to make me feel comfortable, any kind of a stress, I used to have Coke, those kind of food. And when I go back to that time, that how did this entire transition happen for me? Why did I get so passionate about it? Is just before pandemic, back in 2019, actually, I had a personal loss. um, I lost my dad. And it was a shocking thing for me because he passed away with stage 4 lung cancer. So obviously, at one time, he used to smoke. And I never understood that part, that why do people smoke if you don't need to? And I guess because of that reason, I've seen him smoke since childhood. I never got
Yeah.
to use that part, to get in the habit of smoking. So that part of losing him was shocking because it happened so quickly. We did not know. And then the pandemic hit right after that, right? And we started losing millions of people, right? So as much as I had that awareness after the pandemic, it became like a loud noise that, what, your health is, you need to prioritize that before anything. Because if your health is good, you can take care and tackle all the other problems that you have. And that was the first time that I had a hard look at myself. I mean, I used to look at the mirror every single day, but I never looked at myself looking at this way that, what, I'm really overweight. I never told those things to myself. I never thought, I need to change my eating habits because I was absolutely enjoying food. I didn't think I was doing anything wrong. A lot of the people, when they're eating unhealthy food, they don't really think that I'm eating something wrong because you're not eating too much. You're just eating, I'm just having a burger. I'm just having a pizza, right? I just
Mm.
had lunch 1 hour ago, but pizza is something you can't say no to. It's all right. So when that realization came, it changed everything for me. And I understood about my body a lot more that, what, I need to take care of this because this is the one body I have. I'm not going to get replaced with another body over time or anything. If I don't really keep this number one body, in the best shape, I might be in that position someday where I would be aging a lot faster. I wouldn't be able to spend time with my family and so forth. That vision just came to me very clearly.
And how close was that realization to the loss of your father on a scale of 0 to 10? Was that the main reason you did it?
That was one of the main reasons because I lost him, I would say, between 6 to 8 weeks. And
Mm.
before that, nobody in my family knew what's going to happen. The doctors told us that although it was a stage 4, he probably had another 8 months. But I lost him between 6 to 8 weeks. And I don't think any one of us was ready for that.
Yeah, that is literally just like 2 months.
Yeah.
You get
So
diagnosed, and then next month you're gone. Yeah.
so I still remember the night, um, having dinner with him and telling him goodbye, that I'm going to see you in the morning. Because my brother and I, we used to take turn staying at night.
Mm.
So it was his turn to come and spend time with him late nights and everything. So after dinner, when I left, I was looking forward to the next morning, knowing his condition. But I knew that sooner or later I might lose him, but it's whatever time I have. But that was also within that 6 to 8 weeks that I wasn't, personally ready for it. But in the morning, he was no more. And that was that was a moment that I would never forget. Yes.
Oh, Najib, I'm really sorry to hear that. Do
Thank
you
you.
blame someone for that or something?
I blame that we were not educated enough, um, to understand what staying healthy means. We were more towards eating uh, anything you feel like. It was like, you know what? I'm going to work like a labor, but eat like a king, right? So there was no stopping from anything. At his age, I remember that it was not that he was uh, unhealthy or cannot walk or run or anything like that. He looked quite fit, but none of us knew what was going inside. And that's what the problem is, that majority of us, even though we may eat certain food thinking that I'm just eating a bit of it, whether it's one bite or one slice of pizza or one slice of cake or burgers with cheese or something, we just look at the proportion that maybe we're not eating too much. That's good. And then a lot of the people are counting calories, right? Which is
Mm.
another myth. Bad calculation, I guess you could say. But we don't ever think about the inside. We're always looking at the outside. We look at the mirror and we see that, okay, I'm looking good, right? But the moment you start realizing what's actually that food doing inside your body, and once you have that education, I bet it's very hard to uneducate yourself. There's no way you can just walk away from it. You have to take your health seriously at that point. That's exactly what happened to me when I started putting all my mind and ideas and understanding and learnings and researches and resources and listening to other mentors, listening to other inspirational speakers talking about what food is actually doing to us inside the body. I just couldn't lie to myself anymore. That was the eye opening for me, that I really need to take care of my health. And that's how the passion started changing. It was just for me before, that I need to look after myself. I am not going to leave this world within 6 to 8 weeks because I have a family, I have parents, dad passed away that way. So his expiry was a eye opening for me, that, what, I don't want to be like that.
Mm.
I never smoked. That doesn't mean that I'm going to live an amazing life. I'm doing other things that not really maybe right for me. And I need to improve that. We can never be perfect. People who say that I'm perfect, that's very wrong, because if you're perfect, there's nothing else to learn. We can improve ourselves every single day, one step at a time. And that was, I guess, my awakening that, what, I need to improve myself one day at a time.
And you, so walk me through the journey. So you had that realization. What are the early sort of signs that you discovered about yourself that, oh my God, I couldn't believe this was going on with me? And how has that journey been? What are the sort of major peaks and major lows that you have come across in this journey? It's not easy at all. I mean, even leaving Coke is not easy. And you said that, free Cokes in childhood. I mean, damn, you can't leave them, in your adult life. So how was that journey for you?
The journey was hard, but at the same time, it was, I wouldn't say really overwhelming, it was exciting because I was rediscovering myself. Today, when I look back, how I used to live that life 5 years ago, today I wish I had this knowledge 20 years before.
You think education is that big gap?
Education is a big help. See, when we are growing up uh, in school back in the 80s, most of my life I've lived in Canada. I'm a Canadian, right? Other than the first 10 years of my life in Middle East. In that culture, in that institute or academic, they don't teach you anything about nutrition or food. They don't even tell you, how to face the real world, right? So it was, you finish your studying, you graduate, you graduate from university, you go to work, here you go. The world is open for you, do whatever you want.
Yeah.
But we don't know the consequences. We have to live that life in order to understand what's good and bad for me, right? And of course, there's the pressure of society and culture because we live in that culture scape. So having the knowledge, that transition time when the first started, knowing that I need to rediscover myself, things I did made me realize that, oh, I did it the wrong way. But nobody was there at that time to tell me this is not the right way to do. The right way could be in a better way. It's like when you're telling yourself, I don't know how to do this. Instead of talking negative, you can tell your brain that, okay, it might be challenging, but I'll figure out how to do this.
You might want to ask you a small question here. In your work so far, how many people, if you had to take a very educated guess, how many people do you think on a spectrum of like unfit to, let's say, fit, I'm on that journey. Um, how many people are at the early stage of like denial? I think pizza is okay. And how many percentage of people do you think are, which I'm going to come to that in a second, but can you tell me how many percentage you think is just on like, oh, it's fine, I can just eat the pizza. It's in a kind of uneducated, kind of denial state of life.
I would say 80% people,
You really think?
yeah, I would say 80% people think that this is how the life is. I'm going to die someday anyways. Why say no to these food? I'm enjoying
Oh
it,
yeah, I've heard that a lot.
right?
Yeah.
And 20% of those either went through some transition, some transformation, or it's that education is already there as they were growing up.
And that brings me to, I need you to help me here and solve a mental problem. I'm pretty sure there are thousands and if not millions of people like myself who are thinking, you know what, this is the last one. This is the last one. I'm gonna. Comes the evening. You had a very long day, and even great day, whatever. Last pizza. That's it. Tomorrow onwards, I'm gonna be like fit. I'm gonna be hitting the gym. It doesn't happen. Ah, you know what? Today is the last one. Monday is gonna be the last one, and then you say Friday. You know what? Let me eat over the weekend, and Monday is gonna be the day I switch over. Why is that not happening? I mean, so we are past the denial stage where we acknowledge that we should be doing that. But why? Is it like it just seems too daunting or it's too much or again it's childhood things that you crave diet cokes and all of those things? Why is it not happening?
Well, before I can answer that, I have to tell you this, that it's not really your fault. You know, um, it's absolutely not your fault or anybody's fault. It's because it's the food industry. They're manipulating us to eat their product. It's the way they advertise, the marketing is done, because they are spending billions and trillions of dollars into marketing, right? Even though these days, when you're looking at certain products and it says that, this much less sugar or zero sugar, there is always hidden sugar in it. And it's the sugar which is actually craving you to eat that pizza, right? To eat that burgers, to eat that, drink that Coke or whatever it is, because sugar is everywhere. And that's what that understanding I had, because if I can take you back to this and why it's happening, because our bodies, they're actually very ancient bodies, right? I'm going to take you back before vending machines and before, all this, about 10, 20,000 years ago. Our ancestors used to live in a world at that time that where food was very limited. Today we eat like 3 meals a day.
Hmm.
Before it was like a survival mode. You only eat when you get the food, right? Um, and it was very seasonal also. You know, um, like you get certain vegetables or certain fruit at a time of the year. But if you go to the grocery today, that vegetables or that fruit, apples or oranges or grapes, it's there 12 months a year, right? So we are living in that ancient world. Our body is still stuck to that ancient world, meaning back then, if our ancestors used to look for sugar, and sugar was only fruits or honey back then, there was no refined sugar, nothing like that, right? And there were times that way when winter used to come, they never used to eat because there was no product out. So they used to survive on their fat. That was the survival mode, right? For energy and so on. That lifestyle is not there anymore, right? And during my studies, during my learning from my mentors and everything, I understood that this gap is called the evolution gap, where it's a mismatch how our body is actually designed to live in that ancient world. That's how the biology used to work, where we are, eating what our body is seasonal. So we need that seasonal fruits, vegetables, because we get multiple vitamins, minerals from those. Versus today, in today's world, thanks to food industry, the way
Yeah.
they manipulate, the way they advertise and marketing is done, there is an abundance of food and there's so much convenience. I mean, think about it for a second. A few years ago, there was no Uber Eats or anything like that. We actually literally had to go out, get in the car, drive maybe to the place. Even if it's a drive through, we had to drive, pick up the food, and then come home. Some walkings maybe were done.
Najib, can I ask you
These days, we
something?
just push the button and food is delivered.
Can I ask you something about you just said about the evolution gap? I have seen that those kind of information out there in videos and everything that kids who are super super young, more or less just infants, 2 year, 3 years old, and parents just give them mobile phones all the time. So even in their sleep, they're doing this.
Yeah.
So I have that example in front of me, and please tell me if I'm completely wrong in that correlation. That I feel that human bodies are very quick to adopt. Your body, for example, yourself, you're fasting today. The body is gonna adopt to like, okay, I'm gonna only have water at the end of the day. How come there is an evolution gap when our bodies just are just so quick? I mean, a kid born today can it not adopt to just having apples all year long?
Not necessarily, because think about it. When I go back to again saying that, our bodies are very ancient, our bodies needs to function based on certain items, right? We need the right ingredients. I guess we need the right vitamins, we need the right minerals, we need the right number of amino acids. So there's certain numbers of minerals, and so our body needs to function. When we don't have those apples and everything, which is great, but you cannot just depend on apples eating 12 months a year because you're probably getting, a certain fructose from it for regular sugar or something, which is fine, but your body needs other vitamins also. Like I cannot live on oranges whole year thinking that, oh, I'm getting vitamin C from it, right?
I was gonna say, why are you questioning the availability as a problem?
The availability, because it's a problem because our brain is our best friend, and our brain it normally keeps us safe, I should say. So our brain only sees what's available, what we ask them to see. If we are comfortable eating oranges and apples,
Yeah.
The moment I walk into a grocery store, I tell my brain that, you know what, I'm going to eat apples and oranges. So the brain is actually showing me only those fruits. We don't really. Have you walked into a grocery store ever and picked up a fruit or vegetables that's completely different and you have never have it, had it in your life? You normally don't because you
I
probably
wouldn't
don't
even
know how
identify
to.
it. Yeah.
Because and the reason is because you probably don't know how to cook that certain vegetables, or you probably don't know what to do with that certain fruit. A dragon fruit, a lot of the time before nobody knew about dragon fruit. Dragon fruit, when you cut it, it comes in two different versions.
Yeah, yeah,
It's
yeah.
white with black seeds inside, or the very dark pinkish color. But I bet you that if it was my grandparents, for example, right, or even my mom, I would say, or my dad back in the days, if they're walking by those aisles, they're, because I've seen them doing it, they will pick up the apples or the
Stuff
grapes
this. No, yeah.
because they're comfortable with that. People don't like to get out of their comfort zone. And because you've been practicing that for years, that habit changed to your behavior. And now the behavior is very normal for you that I'm going to the grocery. You're not even thinking because you have programmed in your head, in the subconscious mind, that, you know what, the moment I go, I'm going to pick up apples and oranges and grapes. I'm not even going to look at it.
So, am I right to establish that? I guess the availability is okay, is good. It's good to have apples, I guess, available all year long. I guess the problem is the marketing part.
Yeah.
Other things are available all year long as well, which are bad for you. So, I'm thinking, where is that moment where fruits are available in front of me? I walk into the aisle. I mean, most Tesco's, I think, and most sort of supermarkets, Waitrose, anyone you go to, yeah, I would say that the vegetables and fruits are the first thing that you walk
Hmm.
into. Like fair enough. I think that's what happens. You walk into supermarket, that's the first aisle you get into.
That's how your brain is programmed. The first thing
Is
w-
greens.
is the greens, right? When you're going to the produce section, that's the first thing you get it. And
Yeah,
then you get all the other items,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
Yeah.
So I guess the availability is a good thing. Where is that sort of intervention point where, well, you're saying that you're blaming it on, let's say, big corporations that I'm pretty sure they, they are spending billions on flavors and all of that. But what about human agency? That I just do I not have any control?
Do you?
I think I do, but I feel like I want to do it. I want to drink that. No one's forcing me to. I
When,
put.
why do you drink it?
I think the.
If you have a control over you or the way you eat or drink, why you do it the way you do it.
I think it's definitely the comfort part, the access part, which is again linked to the distribution and the business behind things. It is very true here. In the office, we get these Tesco's Whoosh deliveries. I mean, I don't need to go out and do all of that, and suddenly I can just get everything. And most of the time, the snacks are easily available. There
Mhm.
are fruits available as well. We do get fruits and everything. But I think maybe I'm speaking on behalf of the people, but perhaps deep down I want to do it. I highly doubt that. I don't know, it might sound controversial, but I highly doubt that when I'm drinking Coke, I'm thinking, oh my God, this corporation is making me do this. I'm like, I actually like it. And it's like, and I do want to give some credibility, or not credibility, but let's say like some um, weight to that human decision, that I think people do it because they want to do it rather than. I guess you are on the edge, and marketing and distribution really helps to flip you over on that side. But on the other side, I think I assume to say that I think more people are healthier today in one way regard. There are more gyms available, more fresh fruit is available. It's easier to. I don't know how life was 200 years ago, but if you suddenly wear shorts and Nike shoes and you're running in the street, people are not going to assume you are, someone's chasing you or something like that. I think that culture is there. I think even if I choose to do it now, I feel like it's really actually is my choice. That's just personally me. Do you think the same, or
I do, yeah.
yeah? I think it's our own choices. would you that's what I'm saying. Is that the would you sort of say that it's us, we are the responsible, and we should take responsibility into our own hands of our own health, rather than kind of like blame it on corporations and be like, oh, these guys are just like absolute, because I think I'd certainly, again, as I told you, they do make it easy, but then again, it is me who's doing it. I don't know, it's a bit of a philosophical
It's a
conundrum.
debate you can go on and keep talking, blaming each other. But the truth is that, first of all, it's not your fault. Second of all, it's not even the food industry's fault, I would say. Like, we can't really blame them. See, they're in a business, they are
Yeah.
looking for profit. That's their job. Like, you and I would probably run a business, and I would obviously think about the profit. But I also would like to think, is it only the profit, or I'm looking for a change to change the world and do better? So the food industry, which has been manipulating for a lot because they're in the profit business, but they're making that profit on our health, right? Can we break free from that? Probably not,
Yeah,
right?
would seem very hard. So
It is. It's, again, they have, and it's been going on for years. They have programmed our minds in such a way that the moment we look at the red color, we think of Coke, right? That's how a lot of the advertisement is
that's
done.
true.
The
Yeah.
color makes a difference, right? Um, the caption sometimes, like milk, for example, it used to be at one point when I was growing up, I used to say, Drink milk, it does your body good." They couldn't run that campaign anymore because it's actually not true. So they had to stop it, because milk is actually not, helping your body. It's actually
Yeah,
causing the other way around,
yeah.
right? So there are ads like that which has been created and for to just, you know change the way we look at certain things. So it's not really also their fault. And yes, we can break free, but that responsibility comes upon you. A lot of the times, and I talk to people every other day or so, and I find out one thing in common, that they are not awakened yet,
Yeah.
right? Because certain disease, or you call it any critical issue, because it didn't hit you yet, you feel that I'm fine eating or drinking that certain food, but you don't know the consequences in the long run. Like, if you're, I mean, for example, I'm not going to name any brand over here, but if you're eating burgers or pizza all the time, every single day of your life, do you think it's healthy?
Oh, absolutely not.
Right? So it's the knowledge we need to have that, and going back to what you mentioned, that it's my choice. That's how it's supposed to be. What I educate people, when I'm educating people, I tell them that, you need to have that food freedom where there is no restrictions. You're not supposed to eat food with guilt, that because somebody offered you, you're
Hmm.
eating that. You got to have that understanding, that control over food, right? People cannot body shame you when you're eating. You cannot eat with those. You want to eat food because it's your choice. You want to take a bite of that pizza because it's your choice, not because you have to eat it or because it's just presented in front of you. You want to have that slice of cake because it's your choice. Now, how much to eat,
Mm.
right? How, when to eat, when to stop. These are the knowledge you need to have to control over your body, right? And that's the food timeline I talk about it. For example, and this happened a lot to me, and I'm going to take you back a bit before COVID, that how, certain food, a lot of the food, I should say, is actually programmed in our body with happiness, right? There used to be a time that, on Fridays, this is in Toronto, going back again, um, Friday, I'm looking forward to the weekend. We're having an amazing day. That 3 to 4 cups of coffee, which is very common in IT industry, right? And I'm looking forward to the evening because I'm going to go and watch movies with my friend,
Oh, sounds
right?
like a dream.
Some Transformer movies or Marvel movies are coming out. So I'm looking forward to it. So what I have is, now I'm thinking all of a sudden that, hey, when the day ends, I'm going to have this amazing time with my friends, right? And I'm already picturing certain food, because obviously when you are going and watching the 2 3 hours movies, we're eating something just before the ad and commercial starts, right? So I'm already thinking about, am I going to have nachos? Am I going to have M&Ms? Am I going to have that hot dog? Am I going to have that burgers, right? Coke, any kind of pops or drinks. So what's happening is before even I'm getting into that food, serotonin, which is the chemical in our body, it's actually making us realize that this food is going to be amazing, right? That pizza that I'm going to take, it's going to taste like heavenly. So I go and I park the car, I drop the friends and someone saying that go line up, get the popcorn, get the food and everything. I'm going to park the car and I'm going to come and meet you guys.
And I want my food ready.
I want my food ready because the tickets are already purchased online,
Yeah,
let's
yeah,
say,
yeah.
right? So I go, I park the car, I enter the theater, I'm sitting at my seat, and here is the bucket of popcorn with nachos on the side and everything, and a pretty much, I would say, 750 milliliter of Coke, right?
That is a lot.
That it's heaven for me. And we are watching some amazing movies that we're looking forward to. And the commercial starts, we watch, we're looking forward to that commercial again because we want to watch what's new forthcoming movies are, right? And then we're eating those food, the nachos and the processed food with cheese and everything and the popcorn, right? And did you notice the popcorn itself doesn't taste good at all? You always have
But I
to
think they
add,
add salt to
you
it,
have
or
to add
yeah,
salt or
yeah,
spices or butter to make it flavorful, right? Because it normally tastes like cardboard.
yeah, it does.
Right?
Yeah,
So I'm looking forward to those first 15 minutes and I'm having a blast. And the bucket of popcorn or the nachos are still there. And the movie starts, right? The commercials are done. We're looking forward to the next, planning already what's going to happen in 2 months that we're going to come back and again enjoy this moment with your friends.
yeah.
And then the movie starts, whether it's, Marvel movies or Transformers or any of these, right? And you're enjoying that. And you don't really think about it because you're programmed from before. The food industry had made this. And we have been brought up that way, I guess, as a child. And by the end of the movie, after 2 hours, you see that bucket of popcorn is done.
Are you feeling sluggish?
You are feeling sluggish. You are not really hungry, but you just unconsciously kept on eating that because you are programmed to finish that bucket. You're drinking that Coke, right? And then after 1 hour of the movie, you're feeling, it's bloating, there's gas and everything. You start feeling, then you're saying, I shouldn't have eaten that bucket of popcorn. Oh my goodness. See, this realization come later on. That's when I say the food timeline. So if you go through the food timeline and if you concentrate that, you know what? The food timeline is all about from the time you start thinking about that food to the time you
I see
already
your
had
point.
that
Yeah,
food.
I see your point now. I think the marketing and the distribution is again, it's a thing in your brain that the movie goes with popcorn, popcorn
It's the
goes with
happiness.
it's like a package.
It's a package.
It's you can't watch movie without popcorn, and you cannot have popcorn without the Coke. Cannot have it without friends. So it's like a big package, and I think going back to the point, I think we might have to just appreciate like that neurodivergence. I think for me, I think maybe for a lot of people like entrepreneurs, they love the idea of ownership of things, and business is not doing it's your fault, which probably it is. It's doing great. It's you or the team or whatever. But I think a lot of people are not even in that sort of divergence that they don't even think they have ownership. As you said that when you speak to a lot of people, they are 80% are like in denial. So I think that certainly exists there. But Najib, this journey from childhood free cokes to teen with popcorns and movie theaters, it has taken you very very distant places around the world.
Yes.
Tell me about the trip to Tanzania. I think you met some interesting folks there, and you came across the Hadza tribe, if I'm not wrong.
Yes.
Would you like to tell the listeners what was that experience like?
Absolutely. It was once in a lifetime opportunity, right? And the thought started around the time when I first realized that I have to change my health. And I started listening, um, my mentor, which I love listening to him. His name is Eric Edmeades. And he started talking about Hadza tribes, Hadzabi. And what fascinated me is that in today's modern world, these tribe, and they're the last hunter gatherers, and there is probably, I would say, if I'm not mistaken, maybe around between 500 to 1,000 hunter gatherers is still available in the world, right? So it's almost like they're disappearing, that tribe. So when I first found out about it, the hunter tribe, Hadza tribe, what they do is they're usually surviving on hunting. If they hunt, there is food. If there is no hunting, there is no food. They're not eating, regular three times meal.
Mm.
There's no other food available.
Purely hunter gatherers.
Purely hunter gatherers, right?
Yeah.
And they move certain. They create their place where they stay, with huts and everything, from scratch, and they live for a certain period of time over there, and then they move again to another part of the jungle or forest or so, right? They keep moving, so it's very hard to find them. Their language is different. You cannot. My mentor had a relationship with them for 10 years, and that's why I guess I had the opportunity to go and travel with him and experience that, what it is like. So going to
How
Tanzania,
did you? So how did you? If you, I mean, they're definitely not having a GPS on
you
them. So
know,
how did you find out like at this time of the year they will be there? Is that like a fixed pattern to that or?
no, it's because my mentor Eric, in this case, he's so much in connected with that tribe and the local people in Tanzania. And we just had to, he had to basically reach out to them saying that, hey, I would like to come with a certain number of people. And it
Mm,
was a very intimate group. We were like, I would say 8 to 10 people, right? Not a large group or anything. And we requested that, we would like to come and meet them and I guess interview them at the same time, see how their lifestyle is. And that person itself is more like an interpreter. He'll go and talk to them, and the chief in Hadza tribes,
mm,
if he agrees, then only you can go and see them. And because they knew Eric, and it made it possible. So before even, I guess it was more like a manifestation that once I would like to go, because I found out about the Hadza tribe about 3 years before I traveled. And I used to see myself that, I wish one day I could go and meet them, because my passion was changing from IT to food and keeping my health, well and everything. And that's how I got into coaching and mentoring and so on, that I said goodbye to my IT career that way to help others. So when I got the opportunity, I went to Tanzania, and the part of the Tanzania was that you go and stay with them for 2 to 3 days, and you experience their culture. You go hunting with them, you sit with them, you talk to the wives, which are the women, you talk to
was
the
they okay
children.
with you? Do you have to get like vaccinated or anything or special? Because I've heard that because we are vaccinated against a lot of diseases when they're called like untouchable
Hmm.
tribes that you don't necessarily want to get in touch because you might transmit some disease that they're not immune to. Or did you have to do anything?
Nothing like that. I mean,
Okay.
nothing like that at all. I mean, there were some pros and cons that discussed with us that how you need to take care of yourself if you have, but there was no restrictions, or there was no uh, any kind of guidelines that you have to take certain vaccinations. You're absolutely fine, right?
Okay.
And but you do have to dress up in certain ways. So you're
No
going
cameras, no
no
phones.
cameras, and we had the whole videographer. I mean, the media people and everything, because we're making a documentary at that time, so it was
Okay.
absolutely fine. They had no issues with that. But
Oh,
when
they
I
knew
say
about these
certain,
things
they
then.
knew
You
about this thing. Yes,
Well, that's so fascinating. They hunt and gather, but did you like show them your phone like this is a technology and you can do
yeah.
this?
I was in fact sitting with the kids, and showing them what
Were they able to use it?
they
And
were able to touch. They were fascinated by it because it's a technology. They don't have any idea what this is.
that just boggles my mind to think
Yes,
that this thing
that in
existed.
today's world, this kind of tribe exists who has nothing to do with modern world. They're very happy where they are. In fact, when we interviewed them and we found out, and we asked a couple of people who actually tried to get out of that lifestyle to go into the city, they couldn't survive. They came back within a few days and that it's not for us.
Really?
Yeah, it's not for us. They're very happy where they are. That's why it's very hard to find them.
What was your first reaction when you saw them?
That my dream came true, right? Um, and it was amazing to see that I've always seen this tribe, or the Bushmen, you could call it, on TVs, on
Yeah.
YouTube, on books. I remember when I was growing up, I used to read about it. Never knew that I will have an opportunity someday to experience that lifestyle with them and sit with them, eat with them, right? And when I say eat with them, they're just eating pure meat, protein, whatever they're hunting. So, um,
What were they hunting? What kind of animals?
hyena, right?
Mm.
And that was one of the things that we went hunting, and we actually, well, They are the one who hunted and killed and ate. We were just
Did they offer you?
watching it from far
They,
away.
they offered you here's a plate of hyena or like
And they did offer us. It was very kind of them because that is their food.
yeah,
And they're
don't
trying to
they?
share that with
Yeah,
us, right? So it was very kind of them to share that. And some of us really tasted a little bit. But then and I kid you not, there is no spices mixed. There is no salt or
just
pepper or
pure
nothing.
cooked.
It's
Yeah.
pure meat. They skin it out completely. And the best part is they use every single thing. The skin, they use it to keep them warm during winters. They will
Keep
dry
like
it
pallets
properly.
on
Yeah.
or oh
and
wow.
and the guts or gizzards and every single thing you call it, they don't throw anything. And they're not really cooking with water because water is not available. They're cooking it in blood and they're eating from that.
Wow. So walk me through hunting, the part of it, because they have to kill it in a certain way.
Yeah,
Otherwise, the meat is gone. I mean, I don't know where you
yeah,
because I remember when I was a kid going on hunts with my uncles and dad. They when you shoot like a partridge or anything like that, it's not really a gun you shoot it with. It's like it's just small, very small pellets, and they shoot it in such a way that you not point at the bird and just shoot it like just you're not trying to make it be absolute dead. And they have these dogs along with
yeah,
you, so you shoot, the dog just quickly goes, and the dogs are trained in such a way that they're not supposed to bite the animal. They just pick it up and bring it back to you.
yeah.
I was just fascinated by the whole cycle of it. Was it like something similar that they hunt in a certain way so they can keep all of
Absolutely. It's very similar. They have the dogs around.
oh, they have the dogs.
Yeah,
Yeah,
they
yeah.
had quite a few dogs and they're hunting dogs. They know exactly how to hunt. They're not going to go and kill it. They just help them, the hyena, to bring it out, for example, because it was hiding in a cave. And they were not using any guns or anything. Mostly, what they do is they use bow and arrows or spears or something like that to kill. That's what it. And some of them are master at killing, and only they are going to go.
So is it like a cavalry, like the masters are ahead and the gatherers
The
are
chief
behind?
was there exactly,
Oh
and
wow.
and some people are very good at skinning every single thing to make sure they're cutting the meat properly, because the way they used to do it, I mean, the way they do is when they hunt. And the funny part is the night we spend with them. See, I'm not a camping person. Okay.
City boy.
Yeah, I'm a city boy, right? I'm not a camping person. But this was also a challenge to me that I had to be very comfortable with that uncomfortableness to stay out in the jungle, in the, under the stars, in the middle of nowhere, on the ground, right? And the way and like I said, going back to it, that we were told certain way to dress up. You got to make sure that you're not wearing anything colorful or so. It was pretty much restricted in a way that you wear only either in greens or maybe grayish color. So our entire uh, group had similar outfits in that color sense. So we're lying down on the floor, on the ground itself, and I hate bugs or any kind of creepy crawling thing, right? So I'm looking at myself, is it that? My wife was with me also at the same time, and she's like, Najib, the more you worry about this,
The more they're
the
gonna
more,
show
the
up.
more they're going to show up. So try to be comfortable with it. Not that she was comfortable; she was also facing these challenges. She also doesn't like camping. She has never done camping, I think. Neither have I. But these are the challenges we wanted to face. That was the
Mm.
whole experience. That why is it was a lifetime experience, and that's the whole idea we went with. That we're going to face all these challenges, and we're going to experience and see how it actually feels. So it was absolutely amazing. And after a couple of hours that I got comfortable, falling asleep, I'm literally lying down, Waleed, under the stars, fresh air. The Hadza people are sitting next to the fireplace. They're keeping, on
Yeah.
guard and everything to make sure that we don't get surrounded by animals or anything
Yeah.
like that. The dogs are there, and then slowly we fall asleep. I had a very pleasant sleep, amazing. And we get up at 5:30 in the morning.
Just with sunrise. Yeah.
Yeah, 5:30 in the morning, and the cameraman, the videographer Eric is there. The whole team is there, and then we go for hunting because we need breakfast, right? So we go hunting with the Hadza tribe.
Yes, because there are no fridge.
There is no fridge.
You
There is no
can't.
there is no
There's no
food.
hunting and
No,
the night before. Okay, this is breakfast sorted
they
out.
finish it right away. They
Wow.
finish it instantly. So if you are eating for breakfast, you're done breakfast, you got to go hunting again for lunch. Once lunch is done, you got to go hunting again for dinner because there is no food. There is
I'm
no fridge.
absolutely fascinated by
It's a
this.
very challenging lifestyle, but we learn so much from them, right?
How
And
was the hunting? Walk me through the
so
morning.
5:30 in the morning, we go hunting with them, and literally about 300 feet away, there was the hyena, and I'm sleeping. All of us were sleeping 300 feet away from the hyenas, but they are the master. They know exactly how to kill, right? They're professionals in that sense because that's their lifestyle, and we are watching it from outside, and all of us are, doing taking our phone out and videoing,
The
taping and everything.
Westerners
The
and
Western, we're in the modern
the
world doing
modern
that.
people.
And the dogs are helping, right? And the chief is there, the other people are there. And then they kill the hyena, they bring it to us because they're showing us and everything. We
Can you
see
walk
that.
me through the killing of it? As like they hide behind, or they just throw the arrow?
Well,
How
this hyena particularly was inside a cave, so they couldn't go inside to kill it. They had to attack from outside, and the hyena wouldn't come out. So the dogs particularly was trying to go in
and drag it out?
and drag it out.
Oh
Right?
wow.
So the dogs were also helping them in that sense. And some of the spears and everything they were able to, they couldn't use the bow and arrow much because it was a very tight space, so it wouldn't work. And once they got a hold of the hyena, it was very easy to kill, right? Because they got part of it or it got a little bit injured or something like
Did you
that
kill like from the neck
from the
or?
neck or so. So it's a certain way they kill on the spot without even torturing them.
Oh, so there's a method to it.
Yeah, there's a method to it. So without even torturing them, and once they bring it out, and it's a lot of these images are on my Instagram. Like I shared with everyone that it's the amazing thing that the way the skill they have, which we don't, and the skinned out, everything is done. They take half the part of the animal, half the meat goes to the women, because the women is going to feed the children.
Oh,
The
so
men don't
there's
do
a
that.
proper distribution.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right. The men don't do that. That's the women's responsibility to feed the children. The men are only there for hunting to provide that food to them. They eat it within 2, 3 hours. We stayed over there. They finished the whole hyena, every part of it. Nothing is thrown away. Let's go for hunting for lunch now. Right? So it's next six
It
hours
is the next
hunting.
6 hours. Okay. Okay.
And the same thing. And if you don't find anything, they come back. There's no food that afternoon. They'll go for dinner now, which is again going for hunting. Right? And it's amazing way they do
Right.
it. They know exactly how to hunt. They know exactly the way we watch in the movies. Like I used to watch MacGyver during the time, just following footsteps or certain leaves, or exactly which path of the trail or something. Don't know exactly how to do it. And these spears and bow and arrows that they're using, they never just throw it at once to kill. They used to go and find those bow and arrow also so they can reuse them.
Oh yeah, it's like reusable
Yeah.
weapons. Yeah.
So there's a pure method that they go. We kill. We didn't. And I remember very well for the afternoon part. They were not able to kill any more hyenas or any other animal. I believe we caught some birds at that time, and that was their lunch.
No fruits, no plants, nothing.
Nothing like that. No water even. Um, we did have one kind of fruit, which the women were um, providing us, and I believe, if I'm right, the fruit is called bao fruit,
Yeah, I've heard of
right?
it. I think
It's
yeah.
a very citrusy flavor inside the texture,
Has
but
water in there as well,
no
isn't it?
water. It's very dry.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
it's
I'm
very
I'm thinking
dry,
of
and you
something
can
else.
actually, what they were doing is they're taking it out of the shell and everything, and then inside they used to make it like powdery, and they used to feed it to us. So you're tasting the powder, which I did a bit of readings after that and found out that it's very, very good for your body.
Yeah.
And that could be another reason that why they're so healthy. I mean, look at it. They're living in the jungle. They're not connected with the modern world, right? There is no gym to work out, but they are so strong. The 65-year-old chief, if when you look at him, he's like probably 30 years old looking, very strong, right?
Because you are working out for 12 to 18 hours a day,
Yeah, that's your
and
lifestyle.
and in the savannah of
Yeah.
did you offer them your chocolates and pizzas and burgers? Like this is
Uh,
a tribute from the
no,
Western world.
the arrangements were made that we don't really eat their food or anything like that because it is their food at the end, right?
I
That's
think
what they get to
we would
eat.
die. I mean, you
Yeah.
eat a hyena. I mean, what are you talking about?
Yeah. So we had our meal separate because the arrangement was done from the place we were, Eric's team and everything. But we did try. They did offer, very kind of them, and they absolutely didn't mind. And it
You
was
did
not
try
that
hyena then?
I did not.
Oh, our
I,
city boy didn't try hyena.
yes, the city boy did not try. My wife did try a little bit,
Okay.
and a couple of others they did try because it was just showing love and caring that what we are very honored to be part of your tribe, and the hospitality was amazing. Although we did not talk our language, the language was different, of course.
Would you be able to communicate like how
Well, the
we?
interpreter was there at the same time, but
But did they
they
understand some hand signals or
hand
anything?
signals absolutely because they get used to a little bit, and they have in their language they have this click sound. That's how they talk
Oh,
in the language. After every, you know, in their conversation, they would use this a lot. Then say something, it comes, right? So it was fascinating to listen to that too, right? And sitting with them around the fireplace, and whatever they're talking, they were teaching us that what is your name, how do you say your name. I absolutely forgot how do you say that, but they were teaching us that, how do you say what's your name, they would ask, and we say my name is Najib. So you say, okay, this is how you say my name is Najib in our language. The interpreter was helping us to understand that, and we used to repeat that. I was making fire also with just a stick and everything like that, and how you make fire in the middle of the jungle with some sticks and everything. So it was I mean, it was a one-time lifetime experience, and I'm so grateful that I was able to go. That manifestation did come true, and I've learned so much from that. That when I brought it back, I actually applied that to myself first, before educating others. Right? And I say it's amazing when you're living on protein diet. There are times that I just live on protein where I'm eating for 6 weeks. Let's say maximum of 6 weeks. I don't like to keep for too long.
yeah.
4 to 6 weeks. Just purely what I'm doing is just eating protein. My body is not getting any kind of carbs, anything at all. In the morning, I start up, I would probably eat an egg, which is protein again. And lunch and dinner would be either fish or chicken or meat. That's all there is. And the best part is for some people who are actually weight concerned or something, you actually release weight with that. You kind of lose
I've
weight
heard
too
of
at the
it.
same
Yeah,
time.
the
But that is the
carnivore
best time
diet.
also to grow muscles, right? So I experiment those with my body all the time. And that's why my body today is so flexible that, what, when I'm eating, going back to what you mentioned in the beginning, that it's a choice that we are supposed to have, right? But we're living in a society that we have abundance of food. So it's my choice to decide what I want to eat, when I want to eat. And by educating myself with the right way, understanding the patterns, reframing it. I haven't touched Coke for 5 years. In fact, if you even put Coke in front of me, I don't even see it. Like, oh, okay, that's Coke. Not for me, maybe for you. I'll try, I'll obviously tell you not to, but that's your choice. I can't push you or I can't force you to eat certain food or to drink certain drinks. So
How does coming back from that experience? How did it change you?
it changed me a lot. I would say it changed me
In
to a
what
much
way?
better person, physically, mentally, emotionally.
How emotionally?
Emotionally, in a sense that, my communication got better. Like, I'm just not talking about food. I'm also talking about, you know, changing my fixed mindset to a growth mindset. I'm not just talking about related to all the nutrition around me, the right food to eat, but I'm also telling myself, how do I picture that food? How is it affecting my body? What's my body actually telling me? Right? What certain vegetables or food is talking to me. I start listening to it. I was listening to the body triggers. There's a little food angel and food devil which keeps talking to me that, Najib, you have an amazing day today. You're so happy and everything. That food devil will tell you that, what, go and have that pizza or go and have that burger. And the food angel is like, no, Najib, that's not good for you. There's other ways to take care and celebrate that happiness. And the other ways could be, what, go for a walk or go work out a little bit, or call that friend that you haven't called for 6 months. Because the moment when you're feeling those triggers, that, the cravings to have that certain food, because whether you're sad, whether you're happy, because you have programmed your brain that way, which could be connected to childhood also, again, going back, right? We need to break that pattern. We need to understand those patterns, what actually causing that. And once you understand that pattern, it's easy to break. Most people don't think about those. It's like when we are having ice cream, our parents usually tell us that, hey, sit down and finish that ice cream. Most of the time, because parents wants a break, because
Yeah, yeah.
kids are like, you know, running around these and that, parents get tired, right? So the best way is, what, I'm going to treat this person. Do you want ice cream? Okay, but there's a condition. You got to sit down and eat that. So what happens is we are
Wow.
programmed that way. So if you notice, a lot of the time, even as a grown up, the moment we get an ice cream from outside, we probably find a spot to sit down and eat
I enjoyed the
and enjoy that
yeah.
sugary flavor, right? There are some non-dairy ice cream too. I'm not just saying that, but you enjoy that because we are programmed from childhood to eat certain food in certain way.
Yeah, it's just like, you mentioning about the Hudson Tribe, like they don't hunt and then go for another hunt, another hunt. They like, okay, let's savor it. Let's light up the fire.
Yeah,
Let's sit
they
around.
enjoy that moment.
Yeah, that part is I guess it hasn't changed and would not change.
Yeah,
In Japan I was thinking I was there that they actively promote not eating and drinking while I don't think so I came across any at least a Japanese person who had that rush hour coffee in their hand,
yeah,
burger and bagel or whatever. It's a very different culture, and I even forgot the name of the gentleman. He was talking about on a podcast that he did a kind of a control study. He went into a Japanese school. First, he went to sort of a Western, I think school in London or somewhere. They were like, okay, well, kids, what would you love to, if you had everything in your control, what would you love to? Burgers, KFC, McDonald's, whatever. And then he went to Japan and he's like, control study, he's like, would you like to eat this? And the kids were like borderline disgusted. They're like, where's our broccoli? And like, he's like, would you eat your broccoli? I mean, do you know, like, and then the teacher is like, oh, we don't give our kids these things.
yeah.
And following up to that, I mean, the conversation is getting a bit longer, but I'm one of my problems is I don't remember where the source is, which is the biggest thing needs to be. But I think it was the Japanese health minister maybe, and someone asked her. I think she was going to visit in UK or America, and she was asked like, oh, about health and all of those things, and she's like, we they have a very different approach to health. She's like, when we see people who are fat, we don't call them, let's say, fat and fat shame and all of that. We see them as an act of disbalance.
Mm,
Your body is just showing to me you have consumed more than you needed to.
yeah.
In most cases, I think people have people have conditions and all of that thing can happen as well. But if you're like fairly, when I'm speaking on the street, you go, no, most people don't have, let's say that. And that was such a change in my head and narrative that, oh wow, that's a very interesting and very it's a new way to look at it. Your body, your face is just telling you the disbalance that you are living through. And I guess having these experiences that you have had in the past, and you're trying to incorporate more people into that, I think it's just in one way or the other is trying to have that mental picture in your head all the time in one way. That is, I guess, is the food freedom that you just know you eat this again. That's like the popcorn story. It's all fun and games. Half an hour later, it's just gonna that crash is gonna hit, and you're just gonna be regretting after that, and not to live with that regret. Because again, as humans, we are one thing leads to another, and the other thing leads to another. Rajiv, I'm heading into the end of the conversation. What is your biggest hopes and wishes for people? What is that people can learn from you, and what is you want to see in the world happening through your work?
Well, that's a good question, because when I first started this journey, I never thought that one day I'm going to sit and, think about these visions, or I'm going to think about how to help people. It was just for me, right? But through my journey, I've learned so much and realized that, what, people around me, I started getting to know that, they are not awakened yet because there is no conscious yet, right? There is no that I got to take care of my body. And most of the time when I do the talking, I feel that people have this same saying all the time that, you know what, because it's something did not happen to them yet, they are totally blind about this image that, health can do so much, right? So by speaking to a lot of this and from my personal experience, I realized that, that I want to talk more and more to people just to wake them up. Because if you're awakened and you realize that, my health comes first in order to take care of my family. I need to be happy in order to keep them happy. I need to be strong in order to make them strong. I need to be first. And there's nothing selfishness about it, right? You have to think about yourself first before you can provide help, the best, you know, that you can provide. So my only request is to those people who are still not awakened, wake up and start realizing that health matters. This body that we have, it's so important to us that once we start, and it doesn't take too much, it doesn't take too much, just a little discipline, just a little bit of education. Once you have that, that changes to habits, and then the habits will change to behavior, and then it'll be just very simple for you to follow. Wouldn't it be amazing that, you're in your 50s and 60s, but you look like 30-year-old?
Yeah.
Like, wouldn't it be amazing that you have all the energy to play with your children, like the grandparents have all the energy to run around with their grandkids? And then, of course, people have this that, they are going to live maybe until 80 years old. The lifespan, they usually call like 85 or 90 even. I look at myself that I'm going to live at least until 100 because at least I'm telling my body that. And your body listens to you. The question is, are you really listening to your body? Right? So, through my journey and through my experiences in the last 5 years that I've learned, my goal is it's very simple. It's very simple that, start understanding and listening to your body because your body tells you a lot. Before you get sick, there are symptoms that the body is telling you that, hey, you're going to get sick. Start taking care of yourself, right? So I like to help. And in my journey, I've been helping individuals. And when I talk about individuals, is to help out those men, women, the students, the seniors, high performers, even corporate team, because I come from that corporate world, so I know how unhealthy it can be. Not just food related, but stress. The dependencies on the coffee 3-4 times a day, which the caffeine stays in our body and that disrupts our sleep. Also, there's so many things, and the long hours, they're short of energy, and all of these, the burnout, the stress, the anxiety. I want to make sure that, people understand that. So it's absolutely possible to get rid of those. It's absolutely possible today to reverse pre-diabetes and type 2 diabetes. Most people don't know that. They think that I'm hooked onto this medication for life and this is my life. No, it's not. It's not. Just focus on what you eat. Be mindful about what you're eating. Have that intuitive talk inside you telling you, hey, that angel and devil talking, that is this good or not? Start talking to that. Once you have that, believe me, once you build that relationship with food and you start connecting with your body, you start connecting with your mind, your life will change.
That's
Once
pretty
you can
amazing.
transform that, everything will fall into its place automatically. It's not that hard. If I can do it, anybody can. I've helped my family side, and that's how it started. Then that's when the passion started growing and I started helping other people now. And I love it. And I don't give myself the credit at all for this because the credit is still at the end of the day, it's yours. It's you who decided to do it. It's your decision that, hey, my health matters. But I love the fact that I am part of your story and it's a connection we have, right? That And it's amazing to also find out the more you get involved in it, Waleed, the more you see what your health is doing. Believe me, when I talk about food freedom, there is no restrictions. I mean, you want to have that slice of cake, go for it. But now your body knows how much to eat, when to eat. Remember the food timeline I told you about?
Yeah.
Going back to the food timeline again, normally what happens is we eat with guilt sometimes because our loved one um, is offering us a certain slice of cake or something they made with so much love, so much caring, that the guilt is telling you that, what, eat it. Or that willpower that you tell yourself that, what, I am not going to be eating this for next 3-4 months. The willpower doesn't stay too far because it's temporary. Willpower doesn't work in the first place. So what happens is you end up giving up and then you end up eating that slice of cake. But when you come to food freedom and you understand that it's your choice, believe me, it's very easy to communicate with those same loved ones who's making that same food with all love and caring. And it's very easy to tell them that I don't do that.
I think I still cannot say no to mom. So she will feed
It's the
me,
communication.
but I
And
understand where
at
you're
the end of
coming
the
from
day, I
as well.
again say that it's not your fault. It's not our fault at all. It's that's how we are programmed. One example is, for example, when you're driving the car, you get in the car, you're actually not thinking how to hit the brake or the accelerator or, looking at the
Happens
mirror.
naturally.
You
Yeah.
just sit down and you start driving because you have been programmed that way in your subconscious mind. So imagine the food freedom in such a way that when you train your body and you train your brain and you tell your body that this is what's good for me and you understand it very well, it will get reprogrammed to erase the previous programming, reprogramming your subconscious mind, and you just do it like a simple norm. It's like no big deal for you. So if there is Coke today or sweets in front of me, it doesn't bother me at all. Yeah, you enjoy. You don't
It's
need
really
to push
amazing.
me.
We have a tradition on the podcast to ask the guests what won that book that absolutely just changed your life. We're gonna pick one of the members of the audience who gonna say something very nice about why they want to connect with you. You want to share that book with them. So do you want to tell us what was that one book that changed your life?
I would say that the very first book that changed my mind was Atomic Habits
Oh yeah,
by James Clear.
James Clear. Yes,
Yeah.
I follow his newsletter.
Yeah,
It's very
that
good.
I mean, I was never into readings, I'll be very honest, right? I learned a lot throughout my journey. I learned how to read properly and enjoy the book. I was not that person. So when I started gaining all this knowledge, I started with my first book, Atomic Habits, and that kind of for some people it worked, for some didn't. It worked really for me because it started showing me the patterns. It started showing me that simple steps and simple shifts can make a huge difference. And you got to start looking at yourself. You got to change the identity, right? If you want to be athletic, you got to work like an athletic. If an athletic person is uh, participating in an Olympic Games or something, they're not going to try a month before to get all shaped up. They try the full year
Yeah,
sometimes, right? You have to see yourself that way. If you change that identity shift, when you start seeing yourself that way, it's very easy for you. So I'm very connected to that book, and then I've read multiple books at the same time, and from each book I'm learning something and picking up a knowledge, and that's how I have added. Because not everything aligns with you, maybe, right? Which
yeah.
is very normal. But I picked up with certain things, and I told myself that I'm comfortable with these methods, and it works very well. And I worked on it, I practiced, and now it became very normal to me. So now guiding other people is very is very, I would say, I enjoy talking
Yeah,
to them because the goal is right now that if I can help you improve even 1% than yesterday, I'm
that
very
would be really
grateful.
amazing.
Yes.
And if someone is looking for guidance, where they can find you?
They can find me through my LinkedIn, through my Instagram, through my Facebook.
What's the
Um,
handle?
the handle is namayu .official for Facebook and Instagram. By LinkedIn, they can find mine under my name, Najib Khan. And one of the best thing that really works out for me, thank you for that, is the Oxford Talk, which I did it about. It's been almost a year and a half
Yeah.
that we have released that, and that has gained about like over 1 million viewers on YouTube, and I use that a lot.
That's a
you
good
know,
one.
I won't
We're
lie,
happy.
because that was a talk focused on corporate world. So when I'm talking on LinkedIn and connecting and networking with other people, I often go back to it and talk about it. And I have to say that a lot of the time I get recognition for that, right? And a lot of recognition happens because of that. I use it on my email signature everywhere, and I'm not marketing it. It's just I find it that it's the beginning of my journey, that I can be very emotional, and at the same time I can tell them my story, that why eating food the right way is healthy for you, just by making certain tweaks. And it doesn't take, some people have this, that it will probably cost me a lot to eat healthy. It's not, it's just in your head. You just need to change and reframe that to something else. So, again, going back, instead of asking, no, it's not for me, be curious and ask yourself, how can this for me? So the Oxford talk really helped
That's
me
amazing.
so much. Thank you so much. And that experience has also came where I became also the best-selling co-author, where people reached out to me, and I became part of that. And I've written part of the book where I'm talking about the toxic environment at corporate world and
Yes.
everything. And the universe just opened up different paths for me. And today here I am, even sitting with you and talking. I've never imagined that I'm going to do a podcast with you, but I feel grateful that, you know what, it's bringing all the right things towards me, and I'm getting connected more and more every day with people. So it's not too far that one day I would like to see that one day I would like to, if the day, whenever the day comes, whether it's 3 years or 4 years, I like to help out at least the first 10,000 people to transform them. And I
That's
bet you
amazing.
that one day I will, because I believe in that very well. It's just a matter of time.
That's amazing. Guys, sign up to the Oxford Talks. That's what Najib is saying in one way. Najib, absolute pleasure.
Thank you so much.